Uh, I was born in 1942 in Sandomierz in Poland, and it was right in the middle of World War II. My mother had false ID. My dad, by that time, was already in concentration camp, and they had made arrangements for my mother and I to be taken to a farm near the area and to be taken care of by these people. It was a Catholic farm family. And right after birth, I went there, but then my mother, who saw some students that she went to university with here in Krakow. She got nervous, so she left and she went with the Polish underground, and I lived with these people for the next 3.5 years. And I wasn't hidden per se, I was part of the family. They risked their lives, the lives of their family, because in Poland at that time, the only place, I guess, in Europe, hiding a Jewish person was a capital offense, and you were immediately executed, both myself and the entire family. So that's a huge, huge risk that they took. They had a son who was 10 years older than I am, Tadeusz, and I lived there a normal life that you would live on a Polish farm. And I was brought up Catholic, went to church, said my prayers to Jesus every night, and that was my life there for 3.5 years. My father was liberated in Dachau in Germany. My mother survived with the underground. She came and got me, and then my uncle David Zuckerbrot, he came, who also survived with my dad. He came back to Poland to get me because the Iron Curtain was coming down, and it was better to be in Germany at that time. So we were at a displaced persons camp for 3 years, and then we went to the United States. And then we lived in the U.S. for 10 years, and then we came to Canada in 1958. I lost both sets of grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins. That was the immediate family, and then some peripheral family also. The only people that survived was myself, my mother, father, two uncles, and an aunt, and that's from a huge extended family. I came back to Poland and to Mielec in the early 90s after the communists had left or fallen, and I went to my hometown, my parents' hometown, Mielec, and I ran into a gentleman who I started speaking to, and he pointed out where my dad's house used to be, and when I told him that I was the son of Ben Gottdenker, he turned white as a sheet because he didn't think any Jewish people survived, because they had a roundup one day where they took all the Jews into the main square and then, as I said, divided them to the forest, to the aircraft factory, or the Auschwitz. So then he took me to my mother's house, which was still standing, and there were two spinsters living there, and I spoke with them. They told me where I was born, which was in Sandomierz, which is about 35 kilometers from Mielec, and we talked about my family, and then just before I was ready to leave, one of them went out of the room, came back with the sterling silver candlesticks holders, and she gave them to me, and she said, "This is all we could save from the Germans, and we knew that someday somebody would come back to get them." Candlesticks are the only thing, I'm sorry, I don't want to break up here, the only thing that I have that takes me back to my family in Poland, in Mielec. And right now my cousin Lizzie has them, and she lights them every Friday night. She is the daughter of my Uncle Dave, who is one of the survivors, my mother's brother, and they're going to be passed on down the line. The more that people are educated as to what happened, maybe there's less likelihood of them becoming racist, becoming anti-Semitic, or any other kinds of prejudices. So if you know that something like this could result in 6 million Jews alone and millions of other people perishing, then knowing that, you would think twice maybe being either anti-Semitic or Islamophobia or any of those other prejudices. But anti-Semitism is an age-old prejudice. After the war, my parents weaned me from Catholicism, and I was brought up Catholic so I could live as a Jew, and that is very important to me because I feel that uh, I perpetuate the religion, and not so much the religion, but I would say the heritage,